Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live. Good morning, everyone. Oh, yes. Life is back. F1 is back. FP1 ready to go. I'm surprisingly very wide awake. I'm surprisingly very wide awake at this ungodly hour on a Friday morning, guys. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. Good to see some regular faces. You're about to fall asleep, James. See, that's where you went wrong. You should have had an early night and gone to sleep already. I mean, I can't say I've had 8 hours sleep already. I've had about half of that, 4, maybe 3.5 hours, but it makes you feel a lot better. You can ask me that question again at 5 a.m. in the morning for FP2, but yeah. You got school tomorrow? I've got work tomorrow. Well, today. Good to see you, Steve-O. By the way, James, thank you. 27 months. Wow, long time. But welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Oh, I'm ready. The Ferrari jersey. No, it's staying on the hanger. It's staying on the hanger, guys. Maybe I'll get the Red Bull top out. I am getting some Haas merch come through. So I thought it would be here for this weekend, but I haven't got it come through yet. So at last, my love has come along. They're doing very well, thank you, James. Yeah, very well. Little one's walking now. Yep, she's walking on her own 2 feet. It's interesting. But they do very well, thank you, mate. Yeah, Mrs. is good as well. But yeah, sunny. I think, do you know what's really, I'm going to say, do you know what's really depressing? Seeing the Sky TV coverage and seeing all of them in T-shirts. It's really sunny out in Australia, of course. Southern Hemisphere. It is summer. I know, I get it. We're coming to the end of summer, but still. It's like 20 plus degrees out there, isn't it, at the moment? So feels like she was only born yesterday, James. I know, right? She was only, by the time this season had started last year, she was, because she was born in October 24, so she was, yeah, she would have been what, 5 months old when the first season, when the season started last year. Who's better, Crofty or Alex Jakes? Ooh, I think they're equally as good as one another, you know. I like Alex Jakes. I do. I feel like sometimes commentators can go into, I think if you want with Alex Jakes, I think if you want like the monologues and stuff and like those poetry moments, then yeah, go. I think Alex Jakes is for you, but I think Crofty, yeah, he has his moments as well, but I think Crofty gets a lot of unnecessary hate just because he's been around for so long. But when he's not there, you realise, obviously, how good he is. 150k subs a season. If it happens, it happens, Sid. But look, 100k is obviously, it would be amazing. We'll be keeping the content coming for you guys. I plan, as I said before, to stay on top of things this year in relation to posting content, i.e. I'm going to be doing driver ratings not straight after the race ends, but try and get driver ratings videos out that evening, or at least the next morning for you guys. And do my previews every single race, and also driver analysis and so forth, and things that, no doubt, some very topical moments are going to come out of this season, no doubt, that we will review and analyse and stuff as we did last year. So yeah, it's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year. So if I could double my the last 3 years, I've more than doubled my subscriber count each year. That'd be amazing. Yeah, and that just shows, obviously, that you guys are enjoying what you're experiencing here. So thank you as always. And there is always a little bit of me as well. There is always a little bit of me in the lead up to every single season. Will you still all tune back in? And hopefully we will see that. Aston Martin equals bad. Aston Martin, by the sounds of it. This is Aston Martin, by the looks of it. That's Lance Stroll and Aston Martin. Like, sounds like driving the Aston Martin is like driving it through the countryside in the UK. A lot of what you experience there is a lot of potholes and a lot of vibrations coming from your car. What Aston Martin have done is they've created a road car in the UK. Because boy oh boy, doesn't go good, does it? It's not looking good for them. How many? I guess it's really the pertinent question is how many laps will they complete for this race on Sunday? Not many by the sounds of it. Will they even start? Oh, what happened there? There we go. Perfect representation of their first 3 weekends, yeah. "24 degrees, Giuseppe, in Melbourne today. Lovely. That sounds beautiful. In fairness, last 2 days, fingers crossed this weekend as well, the last 2 days it has been very nice weather in the UK. It feels like spring has arrived. And I hope that continues throughout this weekend, because this being an ungodly hour in the morning in the UK, I will actually be able to see, I'll actually be able to go outside on the weekend. I'll have the full day ahead of me. So, but yes, just under 4 minutes until FP1 gets underway. Alan, welcome. Good to see you, buddy. Afternoon. It is afternoon for you. How the roles have reversed, eh? Go on, soak it up. I know you're enjoying this moment, me being up at 1:30 in the morning in the UK. And 5 a.m. later on as well. But welcome, everyone. Thank you for those tuning in. Of course, it is FP1. How are these cars going to fare? How are they going to fare? And I've jinxed it. 2 weeks of rain non-stop. Hopefully not, Murray. Hopefully not. So. Right, guys. If you are unfamiliar, welcome everyone to this season that is about to get underway here. If you are unfamiliar with the Melbourne, not Melbourne Park, Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, it is a circuit that's been on the calendar for many a year now. And, well, we have a change up in the track map. As you can see, 5 designated zones, which are straight mode activated zones. All these different modes and stuff is a bit convoluted and long, isn't it? But we have 5 zones here, which you can see designated by the dashes on the track, where straight line mode can be activated. How important that will be, I am not entirely sure. We will see. Of course, still yet to see these cars go racing. Turn 5 to turn 6 seems like the most ridiculous straight line mode zone ever. I'm not sure if drivers are even going to be able to remember to turn on their straight line mode through turn 5 and turn 6 there. But yeah, we then have the pink dot is your overtake. Yes, so this is the additional electric that you get for assistance in overtaking for a singular lap. The detection zone is out of turn 13, and then you can activate it just before turn 14 there with the green dots. The yellow dot there is the speed trap. I may remove that. We are yet to get an understanding of whether we will have any sort of access to the boost mode or not. But you can see there we have drivers moving towards the end of the pit lane with 1.5 minutes remaining of this. Well, I say of this session. The session hasn't got started yet. Of the countdown until FP1 this season, this first official session of 2026 gets underway, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, not long, but An idea, put the Fantasy League on the screen somewhere. I will do, actually. Yes. Yes, that's a good idea, Murray. Very, very good idea. Not just a pretty face, are you? Probably the most exciting FP1 in history. I know, right? Right. Oh, hang on. Here we go. 30 seconds. Now, what's going to be super important, by the way, guys, for us in practice. So basically, I was thinking this earlier on. Practice sessions are going to be super important for us to watch. Now, not just for, of course, seeing the pecking order. It's going to be super important for us to see where teams are really going slow and then not. Now, that sounds... What am I talking about there? Well, of course, we know that 50% of the energy is delivered to the car now via batteries. We have green light, pit exit open. It is go, go, go for the 26th season. First official session of 2026 is underway here. Nico Hulkenberg is your first driver out on track in an official F1 session. Of course, we've had testing, but that's testing. We've had private shakedowns, but here we are. Cars out on track, guys. Cars out on track. So, these sessions, practice sessions, why are they more important than ever, especially for us as viewers? Because we don't get access to, unfortunately, the battery data that these cars provide now, considering 50% of that is 50% of the power is delivered by the battery, and there's been all this hoo-ha, of course, about how the cars are going to be able to recover. Certain tracks are going to be better at that recovery than others, and what we as viewers need to keep an eye out on is the speedometer. We are not going to get an idea of the state. We're not going to get access to the state of charge of the battery. That is confirmed, but that will not be the case for the time being. Maybe we'll get it in the future, as we have a purple second sector from Nico Hulkenberg and taken away by Esteban Ocon. But a very, very busy circuit, undoubtedly, as teams are going to be figuring out how their energy deployment maps work around here and their strategies, and it's going to be super important, as we know. But the only way for us really, as fans and as commentators and so forth, to figure out how teams are shaping up and where they are recovering energy is going to be for the speed traps, and just watching the speed through certain corners, because it's going to be a super tricky track here at Melbourne to recover energy. There's not many hard braking zones. The easiest way to recover energy is under braking, but there's not really any hard braking zones here. The hardest braking zone is probably down into turn 3, or probably turn 11. Yeah, turn 3 and turn 11. But other than that, everything is only a little dab of the brakes. So that's why there's been concerns about potentially rolling off of the lift and coast element. We already have a yellow flag down the start-finish straight. Is that Gabriel Bortoleto? Has Gabriel Bortoleto stopped out on track on the start-finish straight? Surely not. Why is there a yellow flag? Have we got a yellow flag already? Is that Gabriel Bortoleto broken down already? Surely not. I think he's in the pit lane, isn't he? Hang on, Oscar Piastri radio. I've got no power. Oscar Piastri said he had no power. He's trundling around there. You can see around turn 4. Yeah, I'm idling, but I've got no throttle, Oscar Piastri. So Oscar Piastri, the Australian curse, has struck already. No Australian has stepped foot on the podium. Daniel Ricciardo, of course, got disqualified all those years ago in the Red Bull. Mark Webber, all those years in a championship-winning Red Bull car. And, well, he's looking to obviously start this season on a high, and he's got no power. And we have Oscar Piastri already stopped out on track in FP1. Oh, my goodness. No, he's not stopped out on track. Sorry, I thought he was stopped out on track there somewhere. He was hidden behind Isaac Hadjar's icon there, and we have a double yellow. This is literally not even 5 minutes into this session. What is going on? Stop the count, by the way. Lewis Hamilton fastest in the first and second sector. That's it. It's done. Right. See you guys. That's it. 2026 is over. It's over. We are back. We're so back. Oh my God. Lindblad stuck on pit exit. Oh yes, Lindblad also stuck on pit exit. Lindblad stuck on pit exit as well. Oh my goodness. But they have been able to wheel Lindblad back into the pit lane, so he will be okay. Oscar Piastri. Now, something that's very interesting here, guys, is that Oscar Piastri and McLaren here this weekend, they have the brand new Mercedes power unit in it. And what do you mean brand new? Well, that is that in testing in Bahrain, Mercedes were using an already updated power unit in their car. And they hadn't yet distributed that to their customer teams. So McLaren is using a Mercedes power unit, Alpine and Williams, and it was confirmed that McLaren would be receiving that power unit for Melbourne. So that's interesting. But with the throttle being stuck, I think that's what he said. Oh, is he going again? He's now going again. So maybe just a systems reboot there, something electronic more so than the actual power unit itself. Of course, these cars, 50% electric now. Maybe it's to do with that, not necessarily the engine. Of course, the battery is supplied. It is supplied by the Mercedes team. So radio from Oscar Piastri. He's on the move, so he's okay. Curse. He's got rid of that curse. That's good. That's good. So just listening. So what happened with Arvid Lindblad as well? Only rookie on the track on the grid for this season. Arvid Lindblad was just plodding his way, and the car just went into anti-stall. But Piastri on the radio is saying there's something not right with the car. The power delivery is something's not right. So not a good start. You've just shouted your house down. Because, well, he's moving. He's moving. We'll see if he comes back into the pit lane. And it seems Arvid Lindblad, where everyone was trundling down the end of the pit lane, I think that anti-stall was just kicked in. Yeah, of course, these cars. Is that anti-stall? I don't know if it was anti-stall, but the car stalled, so that wasn't very good. Norris reporting, downshifts are shocking. All shifts, something doesn't feel right. Not a good start for McLaren as Lando Norris is back in the pit lane. Max Verstappen, a purple first sector for Max Verstappen. So Norris back in the pit lane. Oscar Piastri is out there, but it's not a good start for the McLaren team. Of course, championship reigning champion from last year. That is Lando Norris. Have Mercedes... What have Mercedes done to that engine, eh? Cue the conspiracies. What have Mercedes done to that engine? George Russell, a favourite for this championship and the race this weekend. 26.4 for him. Max Verstappen's on a quick lap, though. Let's see how he fares. Coming around the last corner. This is where we start to see more and more performance from the teams. And Max Verstappen goes fastest with a 22.920. Who do I think is going to DNF first in this race? I really couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. But that's interesting. Verstappen is already 2 seconds, 3.5 seconds quicker there on that lap than George. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting, isn't it? So it's the anti-race mode, Joey. Scream so hard, I think I'm a V8 engine on a long straight. It's a very busy circuit out there. Isaac Hadjar. So the Red Bulls. P1. Where's my Red Bull jacket? Should I go get the Red Bull jacket out now? Get on the hype train. Red Bull 1-2. Lewis Hamilton had his purple lap interrupted. So Max is going quite slowly out there. So he's now, and Hadjar as well. So they're now literally going at a crawl to recover, no doubt, some energy. I wonder if they just went out there and did a relatively decent push lap to start off with. And this is the thing, we are now going to starting to see some push laps, some teams push and see relative performance here in these cars. So watching Lewis Hamilton come across the line, and he goes P2, but P2 at 9 tenths behind Verstappen. So yeah, that, I mean, put it this way, Verstappen's last sector at the moment, I'll keep you updated on the sector times, Verstappen's last sector was a 35.8 and Hamilton's there was a 36.4. So Verstappen at the moment is around 8 tenths quicker than the Ferraris of George Russell, like considerably quicker. Was there a simulated start? Not yet, no. Simulated start will be at the end of the session. Now, they are implementing the the start that we saw in Bahrain, guys. So if you didn't see the start procedure in Bahrain, what will happen is that we'll have one singular formation lap, not two like there was in Bahrain, but we'll have one singular formation lap. The drivers will make their way round to their grid slots. There will then be a flashing blue light, which is a pre-start light. That will be flashing for 5 seconds. Then, once that light ends, we will see, as Antonelli goes purple in the first sector, by 2 tenths there. We will then see, with the start procedure, that blue light finish after 5 seconds. And then the normal lights on, and away we go, will start. The reason for this is due to safety concerns because of the brand new engines, and with the MGU-K being removed... No, not MGU-K? MGU-H being removed, sorry. MGU-H being removed, it means that there is an issue with the turbos. The turbos are not held at a turbo basically isn't spooled up. It's not at the level it needs for race starts. So the drivers need to manually rev the car to rev up their turbo, spool up their turbo, and get it to a level so that they can get some boost. Because the first 50 kilometers an hour, the battery is not deployed. It is purely based on the combustion and the turbo unit. And, well, Ferrari have combated this by putting a smaller turbo in their car, so they're able to get, they don't have to worry about spooling the turbo up so much. But the other teams complained a little bit about this, and, well, there's been a slight compromise here. So we could see Ferrari have very, very good launches off the line like we saw at Bahrain. We'll see if that comes to fruition here. But purple sectors everywhere at the moment. Max Verstappen back to the top of the timing screens. Charles Leclerc had a good lap time there as a 28.993. Trying to keep an eye out on the kilometers an hour here. So I'm looking at the TV coverage, by the way, ladies and gents. We do not have any graphics that detail the battery levels, so we do not have access to that, unfortunately. So we'll be keeping the speedometer, and that will be our best indication of whether drivers are in recovery mode or just trying to save battery and so forth. Chris Medlin says Alonso won't be in FP1 because of a power unit issue. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, round of applause, everyone. Round of applause. W's in the chat for Aston Martin because they have done 2 laps thus far. No, 3 laps thus far. They've done 3 laps thus far. So, round of applause for Aston Martin. That is an achievement in itself. Well done. How is everyone doing slow to save battery? How are they saving the battery? Well, there's a few ways that you can save the battery. The first one is by braking. Under braking, you can save the battery, but of course, at a circuit like Melbourne, where there's not a lot of hard braking, that's going to be very difficult to do because a lot of it is a dap of the brakes and fast sweeping corners. That's not going to recover you a lot of battery. The second way is that you can lift off throttle and lift and coast and use the engine braking to ensure that the battery starts to redeploy. The third one is that you can put the car into recovery mode so that you can just basically... the battery is just fully recovering regardless. But that means you're going to be considerably down on power because 50% of the power is delivered via the battery. And the fourth one is riding the throttle. Riding the throttle out of corners. That means that you basically like stamp your foot on the throttle out of corners and yeah, you're increasing those revs in the car and the car is able to, the battery is then able to recover the battery and its energy. But that's obviously not an ideal scenario, because you still need to look after those tires, and that's a key element that has been overlooked here this season is all the talk about the battery. But if you are not good on your tires, it doesn't matter how good your battery deployment is. If you eat your tires alive, you are not going to do well in Formula 1. So Charles Leclerc, by the way, fastest in the first sector, fastest in the second sector. Here he comes around turn 11 in the Ferrari, a newly married man. He is looking to start this season on a high, just like he did in 2022. Ferrari, one of the favourites here this year. I know, I can't believe I'm saying it. Ferrari, one of the favourites. He was my choice for winning this race here this weekend. Let's see how he gets on as he crosses the line. And there you see a 22.0. So that last sector, not fully deploying in the last sector there compared to Max Verstappen. Decided to deploy it more so in the first sector. So maybe trying a difference in strategy there, so we can see, and this is similar to what we saw in Bahrain as well. Here are the sector times, and you can see it's very early stages, of course, in this practice session of this weekend. And you can see Charles Leclerc there did a 28.7 in the first sector, a 17.8 in the second, and then in the last sector, still over a second back from Verstappen's. Not over a second back, a 10th back. Sorry, I thought that was a 36.4 he did there. It was a 35.3, but what did he do last time around? So it wasn't particularly quick. But yeah, we can start to see that Hadjar's on a quick lap now. Verstappen's probably going to go again. And we'll start to see difference in deployment strategies here. But I do presume, with the nature of the last sector, you would want to save the majority of your deployment for there. So, welcome back. Good to see Aston Martin may as well be nothing. Yeah, well, I tell you, he's not actually done many laps at the moment either, is also Lando Norris. Piastri in the McLaren, and Audi as well, which I was about to mention, as Hadjar looks like he's going fastest here, and he does indeed, starting his Red Bull career, of course, only in his second season of F1. We've seen how that's gone before, though, of course, being in the second seat of the Red Bull. But it is a new-look Red Bull team, isn't it? With Laurent Mekies at the helm, and Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, who have left. So, second Red Bull set in purples. I know, right? Max Verstappen's pretty good as well, by the way. He's only a little bit off of his teammates' time in the middle sector, but he has hit a bit of traffic in this last sector. So I'd be surprised if he does beat Hadjar's time here, just purely because of the traffic. Is anti still going to be a problem since the power is now 50-50? It is a worry. It is a worry. So, sorry, yeah, going back to the race starts. Basically, what it is with the race starts is that the reason why they also want to... Charles Leclerc's gone fastest in the first sector. Lots of purples. I can't remember the last time I saw so many trading of purple sectors. What has happened is that the concern over... Yeah, the concern is that there'll be cars who have combated the turbo lag with a smaller turbo, i.e. Ferrari power units. And there'll be cars who have got larger turbos who will be... There is a worry that they will not, with the start procedure as it was without that additional 5 seconds, they wouldn't be able to get their turbo up to the levels it is to get a decent launch, because the first 50 kilometers an hour is purely on the combustion unit and the turbo. It's only after 50 kilometers an hour that the battery kicks in. And yes, there was a concern that there could be anti-stall and there'll be too many teams going quick and those sitting on the grid. And I get that is a safety concern to an extent, but yeah, you can't punish a team who has addressed this issue when they raised it many months ago, which Ferrari did. So Charles Leclerc, fastest there out of anyone, a 21.635. We know these cars are slower. We know these cars are slower than their predecessors, but by not that much from what we saw in Bahrain in the end. They're probably about a couple of seconds slower. So I'm intrigued to see how they are come the end of FP1 and FP2. And yes, I did see someone say, am I here for FP2? Yes, I am. I'm here for every single session here this weekend. And of course, throughout the season, I will try and make every single session that I possibly can. Because this still isn't the full-time gig, there may be the odd FP1 session that I have to miss, but I'll be here regardless for all qualifying and race sessions throughout the year. So, yeah, looking forward to it. What's wrong with Lindblad's car? So Lindblad's car, not entirely sure yet. There's a few issues. There's a few gremlins at the early stages of this FP1 session, which we thought... Do you know what? Testing was too... The reliability was too good. Unsurprisingly good. As Lewis Hamilton's going green in the first sector, green in the second sector. Looks like Lewis Hamilton's about to join his teammate at the top of the timing screens here across the line. And, ooh, no, third fastest for him. Third fastest. Not the fastest last sector, but 21.966. But yeah, the reliability was too good, wasn't it? We saw very little breakdowns throughout that 3 weeks of testing. And now they're actually starting to run these systems a lot higher. And his engine's a lot higher at the far end of the stress level test, shall we say. That is where we're going to start to see those gremlins. And it seems McLaren is the first of those. Aston Martin, we know there was gremlins before they even got here this weekend. And Lindblad seems to have had an issue with the car as well, and not really done any laps thus far. Since he actually doesn't any. He says he's done one lap. He actually hasn't done any. He made it to the end of the pit lane and he had to come back into the pit lane. So, how's the sim racing going, Khalid? It's non-existent at the moment. It's non-existent, but we'll get back into it when I have a bit more time in the future. It's all good. It's nice to see Perez and Bottas again. It is indeed. Down there, Cadillac. I'm hoping for a big weekend for Cadillac. I think there could be opportunities for them. I mean, if there's ever going to be races for them to score points, it's at the early parts of the season, isn't it, really? When there's you maybe only need to just keep the car on track. Wait until you see these onboards. Oh my, super clipping, Connor. Really? Yeah, it's not ideal, is it, at the moment? It's not ideal. So let's keep an eye on Esteban Ocon, shall we? So I want to keep an eye on a car that goes down the start-finish straight and through the speed trap. So let's keep an eye on Colapinto. He seems to be about to start a push lap here. So keep an eye on his speedometer here. 265, 270, 280, 278. Okay, so he's not completely pushing there, Colapinto, because we did see up to 300 kilometers an hour. As Hadjar's gone purple again in the middle sector. So these guys are getting quicker and quicker. Of course, the compounder tyres here this weekend is the C3, C4, C5. We're at the softer end of the range. No C6 this year. Pirelli said that the performance gap between the C5 and C6 just wasn't really large enough for it to be in use. So yeah, only the normal 5 compounder tyre that we've been used to. The amount of super clipping and lift and coast, I thought they were aborting laps. Oh, Jesus. Hadjar, 21.460. Where have they been doing that, Connor? So 326. Okay, so there you can see Lewis Hamilton. He's going at 300. Wow. Damn, he was at 330 there nearly, and he dropped all the way back down to around 320, I think it was, in that middle sector. So he lost 10 kilometers an hour. From the super clipping as they got round to turn 9. And it seems Colapinto's got in the way of Hamilton's push lap here that would probably not have been fastest because it was a 28.6 in the middle sector, first sector. What is my opinion with Alpine? Do I think Colapinto should stay in F1? Look, if Colapinto can prove himself with the performances, then yes, he deserves to stay in F1. It's a big year for him. I mean, he does have the benefit of having a lot of money behind backing him, but ultimately it comes down to performance, and Alpine, I still believe, are up for sale. So if they are sold, and you've got a driver like Colapinto, even if he brings in a lot of money and he's not performing very well, as new owners, you're not going to be happy with that driver partnership. So yeah, I think he's got the good thing for Colapinto, while I don't have much expectation for him. Oh, just watching some onboard footage of Valtteri Bottas. He got held up by Charles Leclerc there. Oh, no, by Lewis. Lewis held him up. So we have Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris back out on track, by the way. So hopefully McLaren have sorted out their gremlins that we saw in the early stage. But yeah, Colapinto, he does have the benefit this year of being in the car from the start of the season rather than 6 races into it. And now driving a Mercedes' power unit, which he was familiar with in Williams. Of course, his power unit is very different now, so I'm not sure how beneficial previous experience of a Mercedes power unit is going to help. But yeah, we'll see how he gets on. I think Alpine have. I think people expect with that Mercedes power unit. I think people expect him to be, the Alpines to be up there, fighting at the top of the midfield. Right. So Charles Leclerc, by the way, held up by a lot of traffic here. I'm not sure. We got a purple middle sector. I'm not sure he's going to get purple here in the last sector with all that traffic he just got held up on. But if you're Ferrari fans. We'll just wait for Charles to cross the line here. I think Lewis Hamilton is starting to push up again, is he? 282, Lewis Hamilton there. Around 282. So Charles did go quicker there. He had a green last sector, but not as quick as he could do. But if we have a look at the sector times, and you're a Ferrari fan and a Red Bull fan, it's looking pretty good. Are Mercedes still sandbagging? Maybe. Sixth fastest in the first sector. George Russell, 10th fastest in the middle. They've probably got a lot of fuel on board. They're back in the pit lane at the moment, so hope Hadjar breaks the curse. He's one of my favourite drivers. So I do think, and I said this prior to Hadjar even starting in the Red Bull, and it was announced, I think this year is the best year before even Helmut Marko and Horner were still, even when they were still there at the team. This year was going to be the best year for anyone to go in that second seat alongside Max Verstappen. Not necessarily to beat him, but just for performance and because it's a complete reset, complete different way of driving, and it's your opportunity in the second seat to start on an even footing with Max Verstappen. And with the departure of Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, and now Laurent Mekies at the helm, and it's a very different approach now at Red Bull. This is now, I think, a brilliant time for Isaac Hadjar. Now, I don't think anyone expects him to beat Verstappen, but I think that performance gap will be so much closer than we've seen and than we've ever seen before alongside Max. Just purely because I think the cars will be a lot closer in performance as the season progresses. Hadjar's been too cocky ever since he got a few decent results. The kid got arrogant. You think? I don't think so. But also, you got to have confidence in F1. If you don't have confidence, you don't ride that wave, then, I mean, when can you? And it's so essential to you being quick. So, McLaren back out there at the moment. I've got to admit, these cars look so good out on track. They look so good out on track. The best F1 cars have looked out on track at Melbourne, at Albert Park, since probably the early 2000s. I'll say the early 2000s, late 2000s. This is giving you last year Australia FP2 vibes. Ferrari either super fast or doing just glory runs. I don't think it's glory runs. I think it's just probably them figuring out the deployment strategy. Obviously, all the data that they would have had prior to this would have been just in the simulator. I was watching an onboard of Carlos Sainz here. And who was getting in his way there? Was that Pierre Gasly? Or was that one of the Alpines getting in the way? Or was it Colapinto? Very, very odd impeding there from one of the Alpines out on track on Carlos Sainz. But very intriguing, but we still yet to see the Mercedes really go for a push lap. It was Franco Colapinto, I think it was. As I'm watching him make a big lock-up on the front right into turn 3. Makes his way little trip through the gravel for Franco Colapinto. But we have pretty much every car. We've seen nearly every car out on track. Yes, we have seen Lance Stroll out there on track in the Aston Martin. Not even sure if they're going to start here this weekend. Pole of 2022 was a 17.8. These laps are very slow. Yep, so still maybe a way away from some push laps. Right, here comes George. George on the softs. Here we go. Here we go. George Russell is on the soft compound tyre, guys. Welcome, by the way. Nearly 1,000 viewers for this now near 2 a.m. live stream that we are doing this watch along. Welcome back, everyone. F1 is back. Hit that like and subscribe button. Of course, we'll be here for every single session here this weekend. Yes, I may or may not have a sponsor. Well, no, I do have a sponsor for the first time ever. We have secured a sponsor for the race on Sunday. So, yeah, looking forward to that one. Record George breaks his points record, whether that means he wins the championship or not. Definitely, I think Mercedes would definitely be up there. So, Good looking cars. Yeah, 50% battery, unfortunately, with all the non-proper driving management charades. We'll see. I mean, I'm still... Whatever we may think of the lift and coast, whatever we may think of the battery management, right? It's the same for everyone. So, because it's the same for everyone, and some will be better at it than others at certain tracks, depending on the level of energy management required, it could still provide us good racing. So if it wasn't, so it may still provide us good racing. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. That's my hope. I'm hoping that the racing product is still going to be there, and as I said before, and we've still seen tyre management. Tyre management is still going to be an issue. Am I going to wear the Ferrari shirt on Sunday? I think for the first race weekend, Glenn, it's going to stay on the hanger. It's going to stay on the hanger. Thanks, guys, by the way. It's my understanding that there isn't a fuel load limit. There is an energy limit. So the weights of the biosustainable fuels of different teams may affect the car's performance across the race. Yeah, there's so many variabilities now, Sid. I think you are right there, yeah. If they're doing that in qualifying, Connor, the lift and coast, I can't get on board with that. It's not F1. No, I agree with that. I do. I think qualifying is where we want... Qualifying is where you see the peak performance of the car and where you see drivers on the limit. And that's what qualifying should be about. And it's this lift and coast and so forth. And if it's going to affect qualifying... However, saying that, if the racing still is good... I couldn't really give two hoots about the quality of qualifying. Could you? I couldn't really give two hoots. If the qualifying is not that great, but the trade-off is that the racing is really good, then I don't care. But we'll see. Did they change the pit lane speed limit? No, they didn't. No, that was a fake rumor, fake news. That was by one of those accounts that just wants to farm engagement on social media. No, the pit lane speed limit is still 80 kilometers an hour, I think it is. You think the Mercedes is going to be as last year, just about there, but not... Oh, really? That's a bold claim. George Russell only P5 on a set of softs. Really? Now, what was interesting, what we don't know really this year is the performance of these Pirelli tyres, how they're going to be. Now, I don't know if you remember last year, but McLaren were the only team that could keep their Pirelli tyres in the right temperature window throughout the duration of a lap here. We saw Max Verstappen was quick in the first and second sector, but when it came to the last sector, those tyres he just couldn't keep them in the right window. They peaked in temperature and he lost grip when it mattered most in arguably the tightest sector on the circuit. And I wonder if that's also what we're going to see here with these Pirelli tyres. But Mercedes, are they still not willing to show their hand? Are they still just waiting till qualifying before they're then just like half a second quicker than everyone else? I'm intrigued. Mercedes hid their race in Bahrain and forgot to bring it here. If you pit at over 80 kilometers an hour in Australia, or speed at over 80 kilometers in Australia, you're going to jail. Ferrari so back, Max Verstappen will win. It's so good seeing you guys back, guys. It's so good to be back. Yeah, it's interesting for sure because no one's sure yet. No one's sure, but even this session, right, as we're just over the halfway mark with 27 minutes remaining, even in this session. And just this race weekend as a whole, we don't know who's going to be quickest, like overall in the next few races. Just because someone dominates here doesn't mean that they're going to dominate in China or dominate in Japan. It's going to be interesting. Oh, watching Carlos Sainz now. What happened with Carlos Sainz through turn 11 and? Williams just looking. Oh, just got the rear stepped out a little bit over the curb of turn 12. It was actually. When the other team's being showing a higher pace right now, though, I don't know. We'll see. We've got drivers out on the softs now. We've got drivers out on the softs. So I presume now we're about to see some proper push laps for the first time. Alonso throwing a fit and refusing to go out on track, Tony. I don't know about that. But, I mean, because Lance Stroll hasn't done really any laps either. He's done 3 laps overall. And probably one of those is just an installation lap. Or one of those, yeah, all of those are probably installation laps. Mercedes definitely sandbagging, I agree. Definitely not willing to show their true pace yet, are they? Right, we'll keep an eye on Max Verstappen as he's about to make his way around the last sector here, and we should get a push lap here. So we'll keep an eye on the timings, on the speedometer as well. These cars during the corners on high revs sound so similar to how blown diffusers used to sound. No, they do. They do. They definitely sound more raspy, don't they? Right, so let's stay on board with Max Verstappen, shall we? As he rounds the last corner here. 260 odd kilometers an hour, 280 kilometers an hour as he heads down the start-finish straight. 296 is what he peaked at there, down into turn 1. So it didn't seem like there was any clipping down, super clipping down into turn 1, but not the longest start-finish straight. As he heads up into turn 3, 300 kilometers an hour, and that was where I think we did get to see some clipping there before he got into turn 3. Makes his way around the turn 4 corner into the right-hander of turn 5 into one of 5 of our straight line mode zones. 200, you can see the clip in there. Wow, clip in all the lift and coast from Max Verstappen as he went into turn 6. Quite dramatic drop off there. As now, here we go. The longest full throttle section on this circuit, 322. 322 is what he peaked at, and you can see the clip in there. Oh my goodness. That is quite severe. Maybe some lift and coast from Verstappen as well. We'll have to listen to the onboards. But that was quite a dramatic drop-off in kilometers an hour. Around halfway around turn 8 to turn 9 there. Running out of that energy, no doubt. And this is the concerns at Australia. Makes his way around turn 13. He needs to be careful of those front tyres. Has he got enough front end grip? We will see. Makes his way around turn 14, close to the wall, no doubt. He is not particularly quick in the first sector. Second sector is still not purple. And it's purple in the last sector, though, with a 20.908. And our first sub-21 lap time that we have seen as Isaac Hadjar goes 17.6 in the middle. But his first sector is a bit down. So maybe Isaac Hadjar saved a bit more battery deployment for that middle sector. We'll keep an eye out on Charles and Lewis Hamilton, who are on their outlaps here. But that was quite a dramatic clipping, wasn't it? If you saw the speedometer there, it went from 322 down to around 2. I think that was around 30 to 40 kilometers an hour drop off there. I'll be intrigued to see Charles Leclerc's speed through there when we watch that go again. As Hadjar slots into P2, a 21 flat for him. Yeah, that's true, Shepard. Yeah, so the FIA are intervening on the different deployment levels of deployment that can be implemented throughout a race at certain circuits. Right, so here we go. Charles Leclerc down into turn 1, 290 kilometers an hour as he made his way into the braking zone of turn 1. So I don't believe there's any clipping occurring down into turn 1. I'll explain what clipping is very shortly. It's where, well, basically, clipping is when you have the battery deployment. You run out of that battery deployment down the start-finish straight on full throttle, and the car obviously starts to slow because it loses that boost that you get and the power deployment from the battery. So Charles making his way through the middle sector here, and so you see them down just before they hit the braking zone of turn 6. Definitely some lift and coast occurring there. Right, here's the interesting one. How much clipping is there? Up to 312, up to 318, up to 323 kilometers an hour. And look at the drop off here of the kilometers an hour. However, Charles did not have as much of a drop-off there in pace compared to Max Verstappen around turn 8 and turn 9 in that section. So faring much better, the Ferrari, it seems, in that section, unless that was a particular deployment strategy implemented by Max Verstappen. But Charles Leclerc, green in the middle sector. His first sector last time around was better than Max Verstappen's as well, with a 28, even though it's yellow for Charles. He does have the fastest first sector today thus far. As he comes around the last corner, has he been able to keep it within track limits here? And he does indeed, as he goes fastest with a 20.829, 0.08 of a second quicker than that of Max Verstappen. How about Lewis Hamilton? How is he faring? So he's yellow in the first sector, yellow in the second, and not faring as well as his teammates. How is that last sector for Lewis Hamilton? Is it purple? Is it better for him? We will see as he crosses the line and he goes up into P4, but 4 and just over 4.5 tenths back from his teammates. So interesting there. It's really the only way that we're going to be able to see, obviously, the differences in battery deployment here is without an actual graphic for us to have a look at. But we can see via the speedometer where teams are clipping and the drop-off in speed that they've got through certain corners. And the section from turn 8 to turn 9 is full throttle entirely. And what we're seeing is that these guys are peaking at around 320 kilometers an hour. We saw Max Verstappen when he clipped, which is around halfway around turn 8 to turn 9, that straight line mode zone. So what happens, as we touched upon, is that the battery you've run out of battery deployment, basically. So you are no longer, you can't maintain the peak speed that you've reached, and the speed starts to slow because you now only have the internal combustion engine, which is 50% of the power deployment this year, delivering that power. Until you then touch the brakes again and you get a bit more battery deployment back. And what we saw is Max Verstappen dropped off from around 322 to around 290, 280, I think it was. It was quite a dramatic fall off. And Charles Leclerc was a drop off down into only, I think, 300 kilometers an hour. He kept it in the 300 kilometers range. So not as dramatic of a fall off. And this is where we're going to see the difference in performance. This is where the main difference in levels of performance is going to arrive this season, is in the form of the energy saving and energy deployment. So it does seem like Ferrari look pretty good. So no new wings here, Natish. No, we're not seeing the flip-flap rear wing yet. So will we see it here this weekend? We'll see. We will see. I'd be surprised if we don't see it here this weekend, but top 4 will all be Mercedes and McLaren tomorrow qualifying, trust you. Well, maybe. I mean, look, McLaren didn't get off to a good start here in this session. They had issues with the power deployments, both in Piastri and Lando Norris. Brand new Mercedes power units in the back of their car for this weekend. An updated Mercedes power unit, as Max is going quick, by the way. Green in the first, green in the second. This is much better for Max. Much better here. You have an exam today, but F1 is life. Make sure you study. Still only practice. As Max does go quickest there. 34.754 in the last sector. And him and Charles Leclerc have been trading fastest laps. I think Cadillac is sandbagging the most. So 5.3 seconds, well, I say 5.3 seconds was going to be the field split. It's actually 29.5 seconds is the field split at the moment. Yes, because Aston Martin, 21st and 22nd there. If you are unaware, and this is the first that you are tuning into F1 this weekend, and you've been living under a rock and not known any stories that have come out of this week, basically, Adrian Newey came out and admitted that the car is in such bad shape that they're receiving such dramatic vibrations through the steering wheel that Fernando Alonso can't drive the car for more than 25 laps before he starts to feel like he's going to end up getting nerve damage. Yes, you heard that correctly. That's an actual quote from Adrian Newey. And Lance Stroll is at a threshold of 15 laps. So, yeah, great car that Aston built, Adrian Newey and Honda are built there, right? So no one thinks there's very low expectations for them to even do the race on Sunday. I suspect they will start the race on Sunday because they need the data. You need the data. So energy recovery will be the decider this season. It will. I say it will. I think it will. I still think people are overlooking tire management. People are still overlooking tyre management. Look, it's of course going to be... It's of course, majority of it is going to be around energy deployment. There's watching an onboard here of Isaac Hadjar. What happened with Isaac Hadjar here? Did he lock up down into turn 1? Oh, who is that moving? Is that Colapinto or the Alpine of Gasly? The Alpines, from what I've seen, have been a bit of a menace out on track at the moment with impeding in FP1. So, big lock up there for Hadjar as he went through the gravel of turn 1. Not entirely sure who that was in the Alpine. Got caught out there. You miss seeing me in the sim race? Any chance I get back? I will try to. Look, as I said, I can't make any promises. My time is a lot more limited at the moment. So, yeah, when it comes to sim racing, it's just not at the top of my priorities. But should we have a run through the grid at the moment? We are 16 minutes remaining of this FP1 session. Max Verstappen tops the timing screens here in this FP1. Charles Leclerc P2, just less than half a tenth behind. As Isaac Hadjar off to a good start, it seems. Just under 3 tenths back from his teammates in this FP1 session. His first official session in a Red Bull car. Lewis Hamilton, just under 4 tenths behind his teammates. Less than that, actually, he is. George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, 5th and 6th. No sandbagging still? They're definitely still sandbagging. I'm back, music. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. George Russell, 5th and 6th. Piastri in 7th. McLaren had power unit issues. Delivery of power was an issue at the start of this session, which meant they've had some limited running compared to the others. That was also Piastri and Lando Norris, both McLaren drivers. Hulkenberg and Bortoletto, they had a slow start to this session. They didn't get out for a while, but they're in 8th and 9th, 1.1 and 1.4 seconds back from Max's time. Esteban Ocon in P10. Lindblad, he is out there doing laps. He's after an early issue with the engine where it cut out, as Charles Leclerc has gone fastest in the first sector. So let's rejoin Charles Leclerc again, shall we? Keep an eye out on that speedometer, guys, here. Up to 300, up to 313, up to 317, up to 319 for Charles Leclerc there. So maybe has he used a bit more deployment than he needed? And he got to he's holding around the 300-kilometer range around turn 8 to turn 9, which is pretty good through that sector. Of course, that's going to be a primary overtaking spot come Sunday as he makes his way into turn 11 here. 17.7 in the middle sector, so he's down around a tenth in the middle sector, but he was up in the first sector as he makes his way around the last couple of corners here. What level of grip and deployment does he even have left in that Ferrari engine and battery? Let's see. And, well, he's coming across the line now. 280, 290, 300 kilometers an hour as he crosses the line. But it's a 34.9 in the last sector on tyres that were 6 laps old, bearing in mind. So maybe that wasn't so much the battery deployment there being the reason why he didn't go purple and improve, but more so the age of his tyre. Still going to be a factor. I'm gonna bang that drum all season. Tyres are still going to be very important here, guys, this season. I don't think Williams will be as strong as last year. Well, I don't think Williams have admitted that they are going to be much slower this year to start off with. They are overweight. I think Carlos Sainz admitted this, and they do have some concerns around the levels of their down. They do have some concerns around the downforce of their car at the moment. But I think Williams will develop well. So that's the thing. Just because you start off slow in this season, don't necessarily start off as the fastest, doesn't mean that you won't end being obviously in a nice position. So Lewis Hamilton has just gone green in the first sector. But interesting, Lewis is not anywhere near as quick as his teammate in that first sector. Consistently slower. But let's see how his deployment is through here. So 325. So difference in battery deployment here for Ferrari. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton peaking, I think, at the highest top speed I have seen through that section thus far, at least out of the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, 17.6, and that is reflected in that purple middle sector. So let's see how he fares around the last sector. Has he got enough battery left? Has he got enough tyres left? Of course, same age of tyre here compared to Charles Leclerc. And if there is a drop-off in the time here in the last sector, if it's yellow, I would presume it's because the tyres are just hurting at this moment in time. Maybe Pierre Gasly has got in the way of Lewis here. Hopefully not, as he crosses the line. And it's purple, and Lewis has stopped the count. Stop the count. Stop the count. As we have an off. Alex Albon is off through turn 10. Hopefully this is not an Ollie Bearman moment from FP1 that we saw last year. Is this our first crash and trip to the barriers of any car in 2026? We saw none of it in the shakedown and testing. Lewis Hamilton actually got a sneaky little toe there, by the way, out of the last corner. So that's why that was maybe purple. Not to take anything away from Lewis there, but he did get he was all under the rear wing of Pierre Gasly there, by the way, out of that last corner. So that no doubt would have helped Lewis. But positives there. Connor, I'll get onto your comment in a second about the change of mode. And thankfully, Williams fans and Albon fans, it is not a crash for Alex Albon. No, he has just pulled over to the side of the track. He's lost power steering and everything. As from his, they think hydraulic pressure is what Alex Albon has lost. So that's 2 Mercedes power units, or 2 Mercedes power unit teams that have had issues here in this session, and one of them has actually had to stop out on track. So no crash for Albon, reliability issue. And well, the reliability issues that we've seen thus far have been Mercedes power units, guys. Who would have thought that when you started this session this morning? But going back to it, Connor, you said Lewis's engineer just told him to go mode 5 after moaning about his other deployment. So, yeah, clearly there's a difference in deployments that are going to favour certain drivers over another. And clearly a difference in deployment strategy there for Lewis that did benefit him and seemed to be much better in control. So while we have a VSC out there, marshals are out on track at the moment at turn 10 to remove Alex Albon's car. Let's have a look at these sector times. And we can see that Charles Leclerc is fastest in that first sector. And interestingly, Lewis's time. So this is the difference in deployment strategies, by the way, guys. Lewis's time that he just set there, which took him to the top of the timing screens, that first sector was 2 tenths down pretty much on Charles Leclerc's first sector. But quicker in the middle sector because he had more battery deployment, but only by a couple of hundredths, you can see. But in the last sector, he probably had a bit more battery to use. Or maybe he kept his tyres in much better shape. We don't know. In a better window, of course, he did get a nice little slipstream out of the last corner with Pierre Gasly, which undoubtedly helped him as well. But interesting there that you can be slower, quite probably a little bit slower than someone else in a certain sector, but then be quicker on the overall lap because you make that time up elsewhere. And this is what the teams are trying to discover over the duration of a weekend. Cadillac at the bottom there, unfortunately, as it stands. Let's have a look at the speed trap, shall we? That's always interesting. So, the speed trap is where that yellow dot is down the end of the start-finish straight. 313 kilometers an hour. And look, you can see Leclerc and Hamilton, 2 of the fastest. 3 of the fastest. 2 of the 3 fastest there. And you go down the grid here and you can see Norris and Piastri not quick at all. They haven't really pushed it at all in that McLaren yet, with issues at the start of this session. We have Antonelli down there as well. They're definitely not pushed yet. Russell and Antonelli still holding a little bit back. Will we see a time later on today in FP2 or within the remaining minutes of this session as the VSC is coming to an end? Alonso, I know, not even got started yet. Lewis's engine sounds like it was started between 2 and 3. What, the sectors 2 and 3, Connor? Or the corner 2 and 3, down that straight. Yeah, just try restarting, Drainhead, or reduce your resolution. If you reduce the resolution, it won't require as much data. So we do have brand new tyres out there on Oscar Piastri on a set of softs. It's going to be Liam Lawson is out there on a set of softs as well. It's going to be tricky to get a lap time in, I think, with 7.5 minutes remaining. We'll see. Aston is Washman. Hope they can at least complete this race. We'll see. Yeah, that's the big question, is if they will even start the race. Will they even be able to start the race? But thank you, everyone. Welcome back. F1 is here. The season has got underway. And if you are just tuning in, what has happened? What have you missed? Well, it's been a few reliability issues that we've seen from the Mercedes power units. The Mercedes power units. We've seen Norris and Piastri in the McLaren have issues with their energy, not just energy, but the power in general from their engine to start this session. They have been out there. They are only just about now sitting some fast laps, it seems, with Oscar Piastri. We've seen Alex Albon have to pull over at the side of the track only a few moments ago with a hydraulic pressure issue. Another Mercedes power, Mercedes customer team. And everyone else has been pretty good. We had a slight blip from Arvid Lindblad. I think that was probably driver error, to be honest with you, as he was trundling down the end of the pit lane when there was a yellow flag. So, yeah, he has been back out there. and it seems to be all good. And then it seems, but Ferrari and Red Bull in this early stage of FP1 seem to be kind of the teams to beat at the moment. But we are yet to see, of course, Russell and Antonelli, I think, really put their foot down. They have just been focusing on some much longer runs. They did a couple of laps on the softs, but I don't think anyone expects them to truly still be that far off the pace, unless there is still concern, unless there are genuine concerns around that Mercedes power unit. Aston and Honda, twits. Lando was gearbox, not engine. That's true. That's fair. Oh, Sergio Perez just had a big off, by the way. He locked up quite big into turn 4, which is why he was going... and Bottas has Bottas stopped to a complete halt there to let the cars go through? He has indeed, yes. So Bottas stopped to a complete halt. No off, I think, from Valtteri Bottas there, thankfully. Right, Charles Leclerc, fastest in the middle sector, but he's getting held up now. He's definitely not going to be fastest in the last sector. That's for sure. That's definitely not for sure. What's the Fantasy League code? Oh, my god. I didn't even post it, did I? Sorry. Sorry, everyone. I do have a Fantasy League going on. I needed to actually click send and pin the message. There you go. Alonso retiring mid-season from Aston, imagine. Who has been paying Honda? Both back in the day and now. I actually don't think Honda's to blame. I think it's Newey. I think Honda is the easy get-out-of-jail-free card for them. And Honda, which I like, are actually biting back. They're sticking up for themselves. They're not going to be bullied. If the reports are true, it seems to be... Oh, Perez really did go into a spin. He actually went into a spin there. Lots of rear engine braking. As big improvement from Lindblad, by the way. He just leaped up. So, there we go. That just shows the pace that is still there, by the way, for Mercedes. Lindblad just jumped up to P6, splitting the Mercedes. If you had any idea of where the performance is of the Mercedes right now. And whether they push it or not. If I win the league, can you get a shout-out? You can indeed. Can you buy a Ferrari shirt? I don't have a 15% code for Ferrari. No, because it's a different brand. But you can get 50% off at Castor for Red Bull merch, Haas, and Alpine merch. And former McLaren merch as well. So you can use that code, that link, and the discount is in the description below. But Adrian Newey, yes. So if the reports are true, basically Adrian Newey has come in, and this is probably why Andy Cowell left Aston Martin, because he told Adrian Newey and bit back and said, you can't be doing this. We know the design is aggressive. There's not a lot of cooling in that car or around the engine itself. It's very packed in and streamlined. Supposedly, they've had to double stack the batteries in there, the configuration and set out of the batteries, which I think if anyone knows anything about batteries, that they run hot at the end of the day, and stacking batteries on top of one another is not going to be the best for cooling, especially if you're especially if you're having to fit it into a tyre package, and that's supposedly where these issues are coming from. Of course, Honda, there's only so much they can do to accommodate this, and I think Newey has gone too aggressive too soon, rather than go maybe for a more conservative concept. He's gone in. And with not a lot of time as well, which he's even admitted. He said, he's come out with the excuse and said, we were already 4 months behind because of my gardening leave. So if you're 4 months behind, why have you gone in with such an aggressive design? Why? There's no need to do that in this regulation set right now. Because look at where you're in. The worst possible case is happening right now for them. So, yeah, I think it all stems from Newey and what he wanted from Honda. And Honda have provided him what they wanted. And it's just not translating from the design room into fruition in the real world. So the easy solution is bring back V10s, V12s. As much as I said I'm not a fan of the president of the FIA, as Lindblad has just gone fastest in the middle sector. Hold your horses. Arvid Lindblad, our only rookie on the grid for this year, but has he used up too much battery? Let's have a look. Let's keep an eye on Arvid Lindblad, shall we? As much as, I'm not a fan of the FIA president, I do think he was onto something with bring back V10s. So, it's about the only thing I can agree with him on. Right, Lindblad, round the last couple of corners here, by the way. He is not looking too shabby. Probably not purple, because that first sector is a little bit slow. But a purple in the middle sector. He's just gone ahead of the Mercedes. Arvid Lindblad is in 5th. Bit of a glory run there, probably, for Arvid Lindblad. As Charles Leclerc's gone purple in the first sector, so we'll stay on board with Arvid Lindblad. And Lewis Hamilton's also going pretty quick as well, but Colapinto's going to get in the way. Move out of the way, Colapinto! Franco, get out of the way! He's been doing this all session. The Alpines have been blocking everyone all session. As Charles Leclerc goes green in the middle sector, but Oscar Piastri has just gone fastest of anyone in the first sector. The home favourite, of course. Can he break that Australian curse and get on the podium step for the first time? We will see. Franco Colapinto, though, got in the way of Lewis Hamilton. He's held Lewis Hamilton up this whole lap. Get out of the way. And Lewis was on a set of mediums as well, by the way. So that first sector on a set of mediums. Oh, no, sorry. The mediums. Sorry, I take it back. It was a 29.2. I saw a 2 in the first sector as Charles goes quicker again on 13-lap old soft. So this just shows how much more of an improvement there is in these cars. As we'll keep an eye on Isaac Hadjar. And, oh, Isaac's had an off. Has Isaac had an off, or has he had to back out there? Yet to see a replay of what happened, but Isaac definitely either had... Oscar. Why am I saying Isaac? Oscar Piastri definitely had an off or a moment in Sector 2 or decided or made a conscious decision to back off. Yet to see a replay of it, though. But Charles has just set the fastest lap there, by the way, guys. Quicker than Lewis, 4.5 tenths quicker than Lewis on 14-lap old softs. So that is it. But FP1, there we go, guys, has just come to an end. The first official session of 2026 has just come to an end. We have a lot in store for us. Of course, we have FP2 underway not too long a time, in a few hours' time. But we also have a practice start. We also have a practice start, guys, to look forward to here. So do not go anywhere. Are the Ferraris still as good as we think they are? So let's see. We'll see. But yet to see a replay of Oscar Piastri's middle sector, by the way. He definitely was a lot slower there. We don't know. Oh, did I just see a wry smile from a Ferrari engineer there? Did I just see smiles in the Ferrari garage? I mean, they bloody well should be. Topping the top of the screens here in FP1. Charles Leclerc, fastest lap time were 20.2. Lewis Hamilton, a 20.7. But Charles showing there how much more improvement there is possible on this circuit. Of course, as well, Melbourne is known for being a track. Albert Park is known for being a track that does get quicker and quicker and quicker as the race weekend goes on. Track evolution is very high here at this street circuit. So, yeah, definitely going to be improvements there. Oscar Piastri was looking like he was going quick. He went purple in the first sector. We'll have a look at sector times in a moment. But he decidedly backed out of sector 2. So we don't know what could have potentially been there for Oscar. Lando Norris, of course, had gremlins in that gearbox of the Mercedes power unit in that Mercedes car. Mercedes customer team car. But Verstappen there, half a second off. Hadjar, good start for him as well. Definitely not a session where the Mercedes have pushed here. They have focused on they have a different run plan. They undoubtedly have a different run plan. So, is this a practice start? Oh, no, they're just doing practice starts. Oh, I thought we were going to get an actual race start procedure practice, but no, we aren't getting that. We aren't getting that. Don't wear the Ferrari shirt. I was waiting for the comments to come through. Should I go get it out? No, don't worry. The Ferrari shirt is staying on the hanger. It's staying on the hanger, don't worry. 2:38. Oh, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, Slavy. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else than live right now, providing you these watch-alongs. And thank you for everyone. Over 1,000 viewers. I am over the moon with that, guys. Over 1,000 of you have tuned in. Of course, you're not all at ridiculous times in the world. It's not all 1:30 in the morning for you. For some of you, it's late evening. For some of you, it's a lovely afternoon already, and it's a lovely Friday afternoon, and it's already beer o'clock for you. So I will be live for FP2. Yes, when I end this stream, it will take you straight over to the FP2 live stream. So you can wait there, and I will be I'll be live then, yeah. So, wear the Ferrari shirt inside out. Maybe that will count as a curse. What was Norris doing this session? Taking a nap? No, Tony, he had a gearbox issue at the start, and they didn't ever really seem to get it sorted. Only 7 laps for Norris. As Fernando Alonso is just on his phone. Oh, sitting on the pit wall, and he's just on his phone. Or in the garage. What do I think of the McLaren livery? I don't like... Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I'm not a fan of Papaya in general, to be honest with you. So... Oh, are they doing a mini practice start here? Or are they just waiting for everyone to pull away? Just watching Lewis Hamilton's race practice start. It seemed to be that he pulled away ahead of everyone else. Oh, no. He was just watching his start here. Lewis Hamilton, was it a good launch? Mate, that Ferrari launches off the line. Mate, Sunday's going to be interesting. If Ferrari are on the front row, good night. No one's getting past them. At least the first few laps. Like you're not beating them off the line. It's so quick off the line. But yeah, the race start on Sunday is going to be very interesting. Lewis's engineer is they just played his name, but I can't remember his name. Begins with C. But yeah, he's got a temporary race. Supposedly, he's got a temporary race engineer until the summer, but we don't know. So they always do practice starts at the end of a practice session. Stargazing. This is McLaren's year. Well, look, if you haven't seen my predictions, I did predict Lando Norris for world champion this year. Not got off to a good start for him, but I do think McLaren. This is going to be a year that development is key, and I just think McLaren have proven over the years that they can develop a car and they can massively progress and get a car heading in the right direction. And just because a team is quick at the start of the year doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be quick in the middle part of the year. And also, it's about bringing the right upgrades at the right time and ensuring that with all the cost cap and everything, that you are able to gain the performance where it's necessary. Like the speed, I'm interested to see these cars, the pace of these cars at the start of this year to the end of the year, because we saw over the ground effect era, those cars get quicker on average a second per year. And I wonder if that's what we're going to see with these cars. We'll see. Never underestimate the fumbles of the Ferrari pit wall. That's one of the reasons why I also didn't put them as either driver as world champion, because while I'm much more positive for Ferrari this year, I'm still not convinced about the strategy department. So, hey Merc, yeah, good to be back. Is it true what Newey said about nerve damage? I think he was trying to drive his point home, Blavey. I don't think they are receiving nerve damage. I think they're just stating how it was. He was just trying to get the point across of how bad the situation is inside the cockpit for the drivers. And yeah, I mean, anytime drivers feel vibrations, you're just not going to be able to feel anything in the car. And I think Lance Stroll said it's like, he was quoted as saying, it feels like you're driving, it feels like you're in one of those electric chairs. Remember those electric chairs you used to go to an arcade? And it's the electric chair and it's basically just sending a load of like horrible vibrations through your hands. That's what he compared it to. How close do I think the championship will be? I don't know how close it's going to be, but I'm hoping it is close. And I'm hoping there's multiple teams involved. That'd be the ideal scenario, wouldn't it? Merc sandbags? I think so, Trev. Now remember, FP2 is always the most representative session of the weekend. That is the reason why is because FP2 is held at the same time of day that qualifying and the race is held. So that is why it's most representative. Held at the same time of day, you get similar-ish weather conditions and track conditions. So FP2 is what will be representative. We may see a complete change up of the order again in a few hours' time. And that's normally where we start to see proper relative performance. So we will see proper push laps from the guys, no doubt Mercedes as well. And we may get a first proper insight into what the pecking order may be come Sunday for the grid, or at the end of Saturday. for qualifying. But it's going to be interesting for sure. Norris always sandbagging, yeah. McLaren seems to have a significantly shorter wheelbase versus everyone else. Don't you think that might hurt them over the season? I'm not going to lie to you. My technical knowledge is I say it's very limited. It's probably better than most, but I can't tell you off the top of my head what the benefit of having a short wheelbase is. And I will try and do my best this year to stay on top of the technical side of things, because that is going to be super key, and it's going to be important context for performance and the levels of performance at certain racetracks throughout this season. And I'll obviously do my best to keep up to date with all the news and everything to best inform you guys as I can, which is what we try to do on this channel. We try to make you a more rounded F1 fan. And for those of you who have been continually tuning into these watch-alongs and these live streams and the channel in general and consuming the content, hopefully you can testify to that. So yeah, it's looking good for Hadjar so far. Proud of the rookie. It's a good start for him. It's a good start. Yeah, thank you, Glenn. We'll be back for FP2 indeed. Did I see the Aston saying they'll be getting nerve damage? I did. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's undoubtedly not a comfortable experience for them in the car. I guess the question is, we'll run a poll. We'll run a poll at the end of FP2. I mean, we literally just saw... I thought we'd at least see them out doing some running. I thought we would see the Aston Martins at least get some laps in, even if it is vibrating. Like, you need data. And Lance Stroll went out there and did 3 laps. Like, what? So, yeah. But interesting modes of deployment. It's... Yeah, I think while people are concerned, understandably, about the balls to the wall, qualifying, driving style of qualifying, I don't think we're going to get to see that the way that these cars are required to be driven. But, as I said, if the trade-off is that we get a good racing product, I'll happily take that trade-off. I'd rather the race on Sunday be better and the racing be better than that of qualifying, ultimately. So, how is Alonso faring so far? Alonso looked very comfortable sitting in the garage with his feet propped up on his mobile phone. I mean, yeah, he looked very good. The short wheelbase has no apparent benefit cons, but is relative to overall size weight of the car. So it'll be to do with weight distribution then, I presume. And maybe driver-led. So the drivers may prefer, maybe the development drivers have been driving the car in a sim, and they've figured out that having a shorter wheelbase has helped them with their feel of the car. So, what's Christian Horner up to these days? Not too sure, but I've got a suspicion we'll probably see Christian Horner in the paddock this year. I think he's going to look to buy Alpine. I do. So, just a battle between Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes sandbagging, definitely. But it's a good start. It's a good start for Ferrari. So let's run through that FP1 session, guys, from top to bottom, and then we're going to end the stream, and we'll see you back in a few hours for FP2. So Charles Leclerc was fastest with a 20.267 on, interestingly, 14 laps old softs is when he set that. That just shows how much more pace is in these cars, because like they're going to be able to go so much more quicker than that. Lewis Hamilton was 4.5 tips back from Charles Leclerc, but the Ferrari's fastest lap times of FP1. Good start for them. Max Verstappen just over half a second back from Charles in P3. They were trading purple laps throughout the session. Isaac Hadjar also got there to the top of the timing screens a few times as well. He was 8 tenths back of his teammates. Arvid Lindblad, the only rookie on the grid this year, got off to a poor start. Was one of the cars who seemed to have anti-stall. It seemed anti-stall kicked in, or at least he stalled the car when he was exiting the pit lane earlier when there was a yellow flag that came out. So we know that these cars are a bit difficult to get off the line, and when they're going very, very slowly, with, of course, the turbo being an issue and spooling the turbo up, with the MGU-H being removed this year, which is to keep it at that a certain level. What am I watching now? I'm watching Sergio Perez, and what did he do? Not entirely sure what he did there. Oscar Piastri, poor start for him it was after some engine issues with that brand new Mercedes power unit that is in the back of that McLaren. But got it sorted and he got out on track and set the fastest first sector of the day. We'll have a look at the sector times in a second and the speed traps. But then bowed out of the second sector. Still not entirely sure why. Don't know if it was by his own decision. Seems to be so because I haven't seen a replay of any off or anything. So potentially could have gone quickest there. Russell and Antonelli 7th and 8th. They're over a second back, 1.1 seconds back from Charles Leclerc. But we know that they're sandbagging. Definitely not pushing that much, considering Arvid Lindblad in that Racing Bulls is up in P5. Borsato and Hulkenberg in 9th and 10th, 1.4 and 1.7 seconds back, respectively, in the Audi. They are kind of leading the midfield, apart from Lindblad in P5. Esteban Ocon in P11, Sainz in P12, Liam Lawson 13th, Behrman in 14th. Albon, the only retiree of this session, out on track, that is, as he had to come to a standstill at the exit of turn 10. No crash, just a hydraulic pressure issue. Another Mercedes power unit gremlin in this FP1 session. Franco Colapinto in 16th and Gasly in 18th. The Alpines seem to spend most of their time in FP1 impeding everyone else. Valtteri Bottas in 17th in the Caddy, 3.7 seconds off the pace. Norris in 19th, only got 7 laps in with a gearbox issue, so yeah, not a good start for reliability concern-wise for the McLaren team. Sergio Perez in P20, but did 14 laps. And then Stroll did 3 laps, and Alonso did nil point. Nothing whatsoever. So Aston Martin, it's not looking good for their hopes to even start this race come Sunday. So, yeah, they're just here for the participation award. That's what they're here for. Right, so, sectors, we can see Piastri 28.166 there, so that's that fastest first sector I was mentioning about, but then he bowed out of the second sector. Arvid Lindblad quickest in the second, so that just shows what pace there is available in these teams. Maybe he took fuel out of the car, I'm not sure. Lost a bit of time in the last sector, of course. But Charles Leclerc looking very solid across the board, as was Lewis Hamilton. We saw, I think, as you mentioned, Connor, radio message for Lewis Hamilton's engineer to change to a different engine mode, a deployment mode, and that definitely seemed to fare much better for the Ferrari drivers. So, yeah, a bit of a wide spread there. Weird hearing the drivers talking about ride height changes again. No more sliding their backside on the ground. Yes. Yeah, the rake as well. Rake is returned, isn't it? The rake of the car, where the rear of the car is more up in the air than the front of the car. Check out a weird rear lockup from the hybrid. Yeah, I saw that. He complained about the engine braking, didn't he? I mean, that's always been we saw that sometimes in the hybrid era as well. Sorry, the hybrid era. We saw that in the ground effect era as well, when we still had the MGUH. Every now and then, that was a possibility. So, hey Marge, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Practice has just been just completed. Yes, just finished FP1. I think Lewis's engineer is Cedric Grosjean from McLaren. He will be. Or is he the McLaren? Is he there now? Hang on. Lewis engineer. Has he already joined? No, he's working with Carlos Santi at the moment. That's it. So he's working with Carlos Santi, who's Kimi Räikkönen's former race engineer. So he's definitely someone who is experienced in that role. But Lewis will get a new race engineer, which is Cedric Grosjean. But he's on gardening leave at the moment, so he's not able to work with the team until the middle of this year. So 3 and 4 seconds off the pace will be within the percentage rule. Yeah, I think you need to be like 7s. I think we worked out the 107% rule is something around probably 7 seconds a lap. Like it is slow. It is very slow when you think about it. So if you have the 107% rule is like, yeah, if someone is exceeding that, then they are definitely a danger out on track. That's like having an F2 car out on track with F1 cars. That's how much slower it'll be. Probably not even that. Probably F3 maybe. But that's how much slower the car has to be, an F1 car has to be going compared to the leaders. So. But anyway, guys, that is it for this FP1 session. Just want to say a big thank you for everyone tuning in, as always, and all the brand new subscribers. Welcome back. You've joined at a good time. We'll be back for FP2 in a few hours' time. This is going to send you straight over to FP2 live stream, so you can wait there. Leave that open in your browser, of course. Hit the like button and hit that notification button, the bell button, so that you'll be notified half an hour before the live stream goes live, and we'll see you in a few hours. Do I have a predict league? I don't, Pharaoh. Is that something new on F1? On F1 Fantasy? Of course. Join the fantasy team as well. Fantasy league, guys. You have until qualifying to set up your team and join the league. That's what you have. So you can wait throughout the whole of practice before your team is fully locked in. So, but get your team set up, join the league, and it'll be good for some good fun for this year. Who's that? Lindblad. He is the only rookie on the grid for this year. He's been promoted from F2. So yeah, he's very highly rated up at Lindblad. Definitely one to keep an eye on this year. But I think that was a bit of a glory run for him, just to get some confidence. Nothing wrong with that though, of course. Send the link to join, Mark. The link will be in... Hang on, I'll send it at the end here. Hang on. Copy message link. There you go. That's the... Oh, that's my Discord link. Hang on. But you could join the Discord anyway. I wanted the actual Fantasy League link. Hang on. Right. There we go. Hang on. Oh, yeah, quite a big... So just watching Charles Leclerc's lap, by the way, on his onboard, and you can hear the lift and coast into 3. Full throttle, by the way, into turn 6. So any drop-off in speed that we see there will be from the clipping of the battery. And it's literally full throttle from the exit of turn 7 all the way to turn 9. And you can hear the clipping and the pull up of the energy. Little bit of a lift and coast. Yeah, really revved the engine on the exit of the corner there, didn't he? You know what? I think watching these cars, I'm still positive about the racing we're going to see. I am still positive. I mean, like, it doesn't look like... I'm watching Charles Leclerc's onboard, and I'm not, like, put off by the lap. Like, it doesn't look disjointed. I'm hoping it'll be okay. There's a full push lap. The others are clipping way more. Yeah, but even so, Connor, like, even with the clipping, it's going to be the same for everyone, isn't it? It's going to be the same for everyone, and that's the thing. Like, it's not going to be like on an individual basis. Some will be better than others at it, but I don't know. I feel like the same thing with the active aero. I feel like it's going to be. This is my hope anyway, but I feel like it's going to be kind of not defunct. Obviously, some will be better at it than others, but I think it will kind of net. It will start to net each other off, and we'll just start to see obviously drivers try and obviously manage the tyres again and make sure they have extra levels of grip and like, yeah. But the cars do look much better in the corners, and I think that's important. So Williams is super clipping on that long straight, then downshift before the corner. Yeah, I mean, look, we still don't know the levels of fuel that they had in the car, the different deployment modes that they had. They're going to be testing different deployment modes throughout these sessions as well. We saw Lewis change to a different deployment mode. So they are still playing around with things. This is still a learning curve for the teams and the drivers. And that's what we're going to see throughout practice. We are still not probably... We'll get more of an idea of the pecking order, I think, in FP2 in a few hours' time. But I don't... Even then, it's still not going to paint the full picture until we come to qualifying. And even then... This is like track specific. It's not obviously got a lot of high regen, but maybe not having a lot of high regen actually is beneficial, and it's the high regen circuits that are worse. I don't know. There's just still so many unknowns when it comes to the racing. So yeah, we'll see come Sunday. Do the rule makers for F1 even like motorsport? They like engine manufacturers more. That's the problem. So why does F1 even have the concept of clip in? I know. I don't know why. The problem is that it does seem that the FIA just ignored all of the early concerns from the teams. Because when these were first introduced and they started doing simulations on them, which I think was as back as early as 2021, the teams reported, well, yeah, we're clipping. Like, we're going to have this issue of the energy management and deployment. And they went, nah, it'll be fine. Nah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And look, if it isn't fine, then the FIA have a lot to answer for, because the teams did bring this up as an issue 5 years ago. Like, that's no excuse to not make changes, you know? So, but I'm excited for the racing, Connor. I do. And I think ultimately these drivers, they're racing drivers. They see a gap, they're going to go for it, you know? They're going to go for it. And that's still my hope. And I'm a positive guy. But I'll equally be, as I will dish out the criticism where I think it's deserved. And I'm not going to sit here and just, like, have the wall over my eyes. If I see something I don't like, then I'm going to call that out. And it's only, obviously, because we want the sport to be enjoyable, because we love the sport. So, simple as, really. Standardized front axle energy regen would have been a good compromise of losing. 100%, Connor. 100%. But I don't know which team it was, but there was a team. This was proposed, and there was one team, supposedly, that voted this down. And I don't know if it was Mercedes. But they voted this down because there were concerns that Audi and their experience of the front axle regen from their LMP1 cars from the World Endurance Championship would give them a competitive advantage. That's... I don't know which team that was. It was Mercedes, was it? Then, like, yeah. Let's say Mercedes... I mean, we still don't know if Mercedes are the quickest yet, do we? But we'll see. We'll see. But that's just ridiculous. That would have solved a lot of issues. It would have solved things. So, get Audi to make it and sell it to everyone spec parts, impulse. Yeah, you could do. Yeah. So, where they lift and coasting a ton, didn't watch. So they'll be lift and coasting into turn 3, lift and coasting into turn 9. I don't think they'll be lifting coast. So really, what I saw on Charles's lap there is that he lift and coast into turn 3, and he lift and coast into turn 11 with a little bit of lift and coast into turn 12 as well. Those are the corners. Those are the 3 corners that I saw them lift and coast. They may lift and coast into turn 6. Because turn 6 is more about the exit speed than it is the entry speed. So there may be some lift and coast there. But it wasn't dramatic on the push lap. But it was a push lap. So we'll see. You were surprised it looked good in P1. I think they're actually close to having decent regs. The cars look fun on their own. But I'm really worried about how much energy. And this is the whole problem. They do have beautiful looking cars. The aero package they seem to have got bang on. The cars are much smaller. The drivers are over the moon with how the cars feel. They said it's very noticeable how much lighter they are, how much more nimble they are. They can feel that they're more shorter, more narrower, even though it's not by the large margin. The tyres are slightly smaller as well in width. So, yeah, there's lots of positives about these regulations, but unfortunately, at this stage, and we're still yet to see, of course, that first race, and that's why I'm holding back on my criticisms and concerns so much. We're still yet to see the racing product. We've only seen them out there still, out there on their own, just doing laps on their own, not properly wheel to wheel. And we don't know how that's going to translate to a viewing experience as a fan. And credit to F1 in general, Formula One management. They do listen to fan feedback, mostly, more so than they ever have done. So if the fans do say, look, it's too confusing to watch, we don't understand, they will look to make changes to the regulations, and they'll look to make changes to the graphics as well and the information that they provide us. Because I'm still not happy that we don't have any battery information available to us. I think a state of charge is essential. And I know the teams will say, we don't want to give another team a competitive advantage in seeing what our state of charge is. But I think as a fan, if the fans are up in arms over the fact they don't understand what's going on, then they'll need to they'll need to look at that and provide us that information. So we'll see. But anywho, I think that was an interesting first session, guys. We have a few hours until FP2. I'm actually quite wide awake. That's why I've gone on talking a lot longer than I have done. So we'll be back for literally a couple of hours' time. That's when the next FP2 session gets underway. I'm going to try and get at least another hour's kit because otherwise I'm going to be dying for work. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Welcome. Great start to this season, and we'll be back in a few hours' time. This live stream, I'm going to end it, and it's going to send you over to the FP2 live stream there, so you can leave that open and hit the like button already. We'll see you in a moment. Bye!